Everybody but Elwin.
Hey, Keelan.
Okay. We are live and Sherry is almost in.
We are certainly live, Mayor Smith, and Sherry has her link to get in, so she'll be joining us shortly.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 4:04, and our first item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Victor that the agenda for the regular council meeting held June 22nd, 2021 be approved as presented. Are there any
as
amendments?
amended. Yeah, as amended. There is
So as
a
amended?
closed session under number 16. So there's an addition of closed item.
Okay. All right. So all those in favor of the agenda as amended? Hands up. Motion's carried. Okay, is there any disclosure, pecuniary interest in general nature thereof on any item in tonight's agenda by any member of council? Hearing none, we'll note that in the minutes. Our next motion is moved by Nikki and seconded by Sherry. Is Sherry on?
Yes, she is.
Okay. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held June the 8th, 2021 be approved as presented. Any discussion on the motion, on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, mayor's remarks, just some very brief remarks tonight. And one is that our numbers are down. We did have an outbreak of 8 folks. A number of them were within one household. I don't know which area, if it was our area or Kingston or Lennox and Addington, but we're still doing very well. Our vaccination numbers are way up there, and we're pretty confident that things will be looking good for stage 2. So thank you to everybody out there that's going to get their vaccines. And we have a clinic coming up next Monday, and I think it's right now close to 500 people. So we're going to be sharing the volunteers so we don't burn them out, Tom. You'll be doing shifts.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll get back to you on that. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right. Is there any deferred items?
No.
Okay, staff reports. Fire is our first category. And I have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Brent that council received for information the CFFR activity report dated May 25th, 2021. Jamie is here, I believe, somewhere.
Yep. Hi, Fred.
Oh,
Yep,
there he
there
is.
he is. Okay. Any questions or comments for Jamie? If not, all those in favor of the report?
Madam Mayor,
Madam Mayor,
Brent and Nikki both have questions.
Oh, I can't see them. Kathy, you're big on my screen. You need to get smaller.
And mine, I'm
I
only
don't know how to
tiny.
do that.
I'm only tiny on my screen. Sorry, I'm
Mayor.
only tiny. I can try again, but I'm
If-
only.
Mayor, if you go to your view on the top right hand of the
Yes.
screen,
Gallery.
click on gallery view. Does that help?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. Brent, did you have a hand up that I couldn't see?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to clarify on the stats. We have a lot down for each of the the stations with regard to wildfire. 4 wildfire, 5. I'm assuming that's not the number of wildfires, but possibly the number of people that responded to the calls. But I don't think we've had like 20 or 30 wildfires, but I could be wrong. Just wanted to get some clarification on that.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, and I'm just clicking through. And forgive me, Councillor Cameron, are you referring to the 23 for May 2020?
Sorry, I'm just looking at the breakdowns. So it would be Station 1, Kennebec, 2 fire smoke, and then in smaller it says 2 wild F, which I assume is wildfire. And then for Olden, there were 6 wildfire. Oso had 5, and Hingenbrook had 4. So I was just wondering if that referred to the number of events or the number of personnel who responded.
Yes, sorry. That would represent the stations that responded. So in total, there was 3 wildfires, but multiple stations responded to each one. So that's why you see the station responses high. Is just the combined station response.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just wasn't sure how I was reading that, but that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Who else had their hand up when I couldn't see you?
Nikki,
go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. Mine's question, Chief, is along the same lines. So one of the graphs, the very first one, says we had 22 total incidents, but the bottom one, all station calls, say 20. In the breakdown, like Councillor Cameron said, for example, Oso District, Sharbert Lake had responded to 13 of those calls. So my question stems, if we're using multiple stations for multiple calls, where are we at in recruiting, and how are we going to level out the numbers going across that we can kind of save some of our firefighters for other when we have major incidents happening?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, with respect to the fires and the wildfires, with the current water level conditions, we do activate multiple tankers, 2 calls, because there are some areas where we do have to draw farther for water. With respect to recruiting, we do have an advertisement out now, and we're hoping to have a second recruit class starting in August. I think currently right now we have 6 applications, so hopefully we get a few more and continue to build with our recruiting.
Okay, thank you.
And just on a little, just to extend the tanker, because of the low level, actually our mutual aid association has activated our contingency plan for fire. So if we do get a confirmed fire in our municipality, there will be an automatic tanker response from the closest neighboring municipality as well. Just because our water levels are so low. So
yeah, we did have a good rain the other day, but it still didn't bring it up that much.
No, and you know, touch wood with the rain that we did receive. For those that aren't aware, we battled 2 large wildfires over the weekend that started Thursday afternoon in the Hungary Bay area. The total hectares between the 2 fires was right around 9 hectares. So it tested our abilities. We did have assistance with 2 crews from the Ministry of Natural Resources, and thankfully with the rain that we received on the weekend, that helped us contain it, and we just declared the second fire out this afternoon. So thanks to Mother Nature, she helped us out in the long run. So
yeah. It has been a dry season.
yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried.
Thanks, everyone.
Jamie.
Bye,
Thanks,
Jamie.
Jamie.
Okay, next is Michael with the finance report. I have a motion moved by Cindy, seconded by Tom, that council approve the check distribution reports totaling $794,466.72 as prepared by the treasurer. Any discussion? All those, Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Michael. Michael, what, we're signing the checks and stuff like that, but what portion of this check registry or payments do we have? Would you, just off the top of your head, would we get in the way of a refund from the HST? And does that show up anywhere in our revenue side of our budgets?
Well, we're going to get 86.461538 of every HST back. I'm trying to remember if the 62, I believe the 62 at the bottom here, Councillor McDonald, through your worship, Mayor, is what we are going to end up getting back. But I'll look into that and clarify that for you just to make sure. But yeah, 86% of all HST we get back.
Oh, okay, that's close enough. I just wanted people to be aware, though, we do get some portion of this money back. So
yeah,
thank you.
Major of it. We get 100% of the federal percentage, 5%, and we get 78% of the PST.
Right, thank you.
Or the old PST.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor of paying the bill?
Victor, Madam Mayor, Victor had a question.
Victor, you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Michael. There is a disbursement of $1,800 to Mike Dean Superfoods. And I'm just wondering what's up with that. We haven't had any major eating events. So could you explain that one?
So through your worship to Councillor Hayes, just going off the top of my head, I believe it was water and some other things for the fire department.
Thank you.
Stocking up.
Yes, for good reason.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Okay. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Now we have a motion moved by Sherry and seconded by Victor that council approve the following apportionments of assessment as recommended by impact for 2021 as applicable for the following roll numbers. And they're all those roll numbers that were in your package. Anyone need to ask any questions on any of those? Okay, seeing no questions or hands up, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. Sections 357 and 358 applications. That council, moved by Nikki and seconded by Cindy, that council approve the following reduction of assessments pursuant to the Municipal Act. Rule number 1039-040-10-0-1100-000 Bright, Brian, and Sherry Lane for the period of March 14th to December 31st, 2021, as reported by impact. Reason, damaged and sustainably unusable. 357 1DII. And further, that council approve an adjustment of taxes to be calculated by the tax department for the related period. Any questions on that one or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Arrears of tax sale property summary, moved by Tom and seconded by Brent, that council accept the arrears tax summary properties summary update report as prepared by the treasurer for information. Discussion.
Just
Michael,
if I
go
may add a
ahead.
comment. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, was that for me or for Councillor Dewey?
No, it's
You go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure council was aware that I readjusted the 2020 numbers because we sent the bills out earlier this year than last year. So there was a lot of prepayments. So I just took those numbers out and tried to restate 2020 to have a better comparison.
Okay, Tom?
No, I didn't. I was just, I scratched my head. No, I don't have, no questions.
Brent, go ahead. Go ahead, Brent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just an observation and thanks. Just an observation and a credit because I noticed that we have a big increase in the number of people that we are making payment arrangements for. And I always consider that that's more of a success story than we give credit, because there are people through no fault of their own and with challenging circumstances, and they have a hard time coming up the full amount. So I see that large number, but I think to a certain extent that that's a credit to Michael and his team, because we're trying to get, we don't want to put people in arrears. We want to be able to work with them. So I commend you, Michael, for that. It's a big number, but I think it just shows that we're trying to work with people and trying to get them through whatever situation they find themselves in.
Through your worship,
Yes,
Madam Mayor, if I
very
may,
true.
to Councillor Cameron, I appreciate the compliment, and it certainly goes to Aaron and I, because we did go do about 3 or 4 days last week where we called people and said that if we start the process right now, that adds about $800 in costs. And a few were very appreciative. A couple were upset, but I'm sure they realized we were doing them a favor. So thank you.
Well, at least you're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, so that's good. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Finance has got a whole pile here tonight. Okay,
Last one.
moved by Bill and seconded by Tom. The council received the financial statement, FS, and financial information return, FIR, reporting software report as prepared by the treasurer for information. And further, the council authorized the CAO and treasurer to sign the agreement with PSD Citywide Public Sector Digest to implement the financial statement and financial information return reporting sections of the FMW budgeting software and use COVID money to fund this project. There was a pretty good explanation in the package. Any questions, Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Michael. How long can we expect that this program will meet our needs? Because it seems we had just got into the other program, or these are just additions to the program we already have. Am I understanding this correctly? Thank you,
Through your worship, through your worship to Councillor McDonald, we did start this program 8 years ago and has saved a significant amount of time, even though still working. Extra hours is what I mean, sorry. But I have no doubt in my mind that this program will meet our needs now and 20, 30 years into the future. This is a company that is staying on the bleeding edge of things. And I hope to go further with them. I have a bigger picture in mind, and this is one of those steps towards that bigger picture, which should provide us with a lot of efficiencies in the future. And I think up-to-date service for our residents.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I do support Michael, and anytime he makes recommendations we should take, I think we should take it. So I support his request.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Brent? Go ahead, Brent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. I think that I share kind of the concern, but I also would anticipate the frustration you have, Michael, because the technology changes, and we get onto something that we think is going to work really well for us, and then find out that the reporting demands have changed and the technology has changed. But more to that, I'm just wondering, when we get the reports at budget time and we're trying to work through the numbers, I'm sure that whatever software we're getting in this regard, there's going to be maybe a qualitative change in how the reporting is done. So therefore, the budget packages that we get, I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity for us to get budget packages coming off of this new software that maybe give us context where we need it and sort of a more user-friendly format?
through your worship to Councillor Cameron, this is the budget that we use, or the budget that I give council right now, comes from what was called FMW, or is now called PSD Citywide Budgeting Software. It's the same software. We're just leveraging that software that we're already paying annual fees on to produce the financial statements, and then also produce or complete the financial information return in a quicker format. Again, I think I'm trying to think back to your earlier comment, the technology, they're going to stay up to date on. Again, I think this company is going to be around for a number of years. I have bombarded the gentleman probably 2-3 times with questions, once Friday at midnight almost, that I sent them through 10 questions, said I might not be thinking straight, but here they are. They took 2 hours the next day to go through it with me. They really are a great company, a lot of respect for them. And I am a little paranoid in switching because I am very happy with Caseware. The support that we get from that company is great. It's not like I'm switching because I'm having problems with the previous one. It's just this information is now in FMW and should produce all the reports that we need for council better. And then also exponentially leverage our reporting capabilities, because they're basically setting up a separate tree, and which will enable me to do reports in different manners.
Which will help with the budget. Yeah, Michael, which will help with the budget.
Yeah, so basically, worst case scenario, the budget will come out the same way it has now for maybe a year or so, but I can do a budget book in FMW. And that's one of the other reasons to switch now, or I'm recommending to switch, is because my brain is being divided in more than 2 spots, but between these 2 softwares. So if I could just focus on FMW and get the reporting a little bit better, like the capabilities here, I don't think we're even using 10% of what we can do with this software.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael.
Okay. Now we are at administration. I have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Cindy. Whereas Zero Regulation 785-20 under the Police Services Act RSO 1990 CP 15 requires municipalities to prepare and adopt a community safety and well-being plan on or before July 1st, 2021. And whereas Council passed Resolution 268-2019 on July the 9th, 2019, agreeing to collaborate with the lower tier municipalities in the county for the preparation of a joint plan, agreed to establish a joint advisory committee, including representatives from all sectors of society, and hire consultants to assist with the required consultation and drafting of the plan. Now, whereas a joint council meeting was held on May the 20th, 2021, to receive and comment on the draft plan prepared through our consultative process, and council passed resolution 205-2021, receiving the draft plan and seeking further input and feedback. And whereas the consultants have incorporated all received comments and finalized the community safety and well-being plan, including the draft implementation plan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council pass a bylaw later in the meeting to adopt the community safety and well-being plan dated June 2021 as presented for the Township of Central Frontenac, North Frontenac, South Frontenac, and Frontenac Islands. And further, that staff be authorized to continue to work with partners as needed to finalize the implementation plan and participate where needed to realize the goals of said implementation plan. Any discussion? It was a long haul, but we got it done. Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Cindy, thank you for all the work that you did pulling that all together, and Cindy spent many hours working on that plan.
Well, sure, I think thanks to the CAOs, we nominated her to be on the board for us.
Well, and if it hadn't been for the consultants, I mean, they did the bulk of the work. I just shuffled paper and sent a lot of emails.
Which is important too. Okay, our next is Williams Lane bylaw to close. Moved by Tom and seconded by Victor. Whereas council held a public meeting on August the 11th, 2020 to consider the request to close Williams Lane which is a Township Heritage Trespass Road in private ownership. And whereas public comments were received opposing the closure, and council agreed to defer the closure decision to allow time for the applicant and property owners to reach agreements for easement access. And whereas the parties have requested several extensions to the deadline, council initially established for the fall of 2020, but the applicant has indicated she wishes to resolve this matter after working with the parties on a resolution. And whereas further submissions have been received, including a request to defer to the July meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that council receive this report, including the additional submissions from the parties for information, and direct staff to bring the road closing bylaw back for consideration at its July 13th, 2021 meeting. So basically 1 more month and we'll deal with the issue. And if the parties can't seem to agree on how to make this work, then we'll be making the decision on how it will work.
Sure.
And Madam Mayor, if I may also just add to that, since I did draft the report up last week, I have been speaking with and communicating with the various parties. So there are some additional comments that I have received, including from Mr. Woods, just a notation that he is not basically in agreement with the offer that has been given to him. So he wanted it made clear that he is not in agreement with the proposal that he's been given, and would like an easement similar to the one that has been offered to the other party. So I did tell him that I would note to council that to be noted into the record as well. So we do have that. And Mr. Sheridan has also indicated there was some submissions, and I'm just waiting for him to clarify what ones those were that he had sent to me previously that I could include for the July one. So I will follow up with him on that to find out what those submissions were.
I think my advice to all those folks would be to get in one big room, virtually separate with Mary Stinson, and try to work out something that will be acceptable to them as an easement. Otherwise, what we end up deciding might not suit anybody. If you're going to put it in our hands and not work it out, then we will make the decision and we'll go from there. Any other discussion or comments on that motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Mayor Smith.
Mayor Smith, you've got Bill and Tom and.
Oh,
No,
I thought they were
was
voting. Bill?
I just voted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Bill, were you voting, Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I just hope that the various parties can actually arrive at an agreement that will satisfy everyone's needs, because in accordance with the mayor, that if we have to make a decision, it may not be a decision that all of the parties are going to like. So what I would like to see is work together to satisfy everybody's needs and come up with a solution that we can actually work with. So that's what my hope is also. So just wanted to make those comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. All right. We have a motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Nikki that council receive the update from Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority regarding the highlights from the June 16th board meeting. Any discussion on that motion? Cindy, anything to add?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm new to the committee and I'm learning, but so far so good.
Yeah.
I know
Good.
our water levels though, our water levels right now are what they normally are at the end of August, I was told. So they're really low, the water is right now.
Yeah, we need a few more days of solid rain for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Carried. All right. We have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Sherry. Now, is Wayne going to speak to this first?
Yeah, is Wayne here?
I'm just going to move him over as
Yeah, there he
a
is.
presenter. Okay, Wayne, when you're ready, if you can unmute yourself and see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Thank you. I just have I'll only take a couple minutes to go through. So, Madam Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to speak. Over the last 4 years, I've had the pleasure of volunteering with the County of Frontenac on the acquisition of some 22 properties from Titchburn to Charlotte Lake and the completion of that portion of the KNP Trail. Over the last year, it has been brought to my attention several times by various parties that the section of the Trans-Canada Trail, the east-west rail line in central Frontenac, had two pressing issues. One, the trail was in desperate need of upgrading. And secondly, there was a dispute between the Eastern Ontario Trails Association and the Verona Club, a member of the Ontario Federation of ATVs, over the usage of that portion of the trail in central Frontenac. Mayor Smith suggested that she and I form an ad hoc committee of the township in order to have the authority to investigate the issues and come up with some recommendations. On the disagreement of the usage of the trail, we met several times with Mark Moyes, the president of the Verona Club, with the president of the OFTA, Soren, and with Cindy Cassidy, manager of the EOTA. The signed agreement with the EOTA, which is part of the agenda, and hopefully a resolution on that matter. On the need for improvements on our section of the trail, we met with the CAO and warden of Hastings County, the CAO and works manager of Renfrew County, CAO and coordinator of trails in Lanark, and consulted throughout with Kelly Pinner, CAO of the County of Frontenac. We also met with the president of the Snow Road Snowmobile Club and several other interested parties. As a result of those meetings, it is our proposal that we designate the upgrading, maintenance, and governance of the Central Frontenac East-West Trail as a 5-year township project, and that a working committee be formed to work with the EOTA in raising funds, coordinating, and collaborating on the efforts and bringing the trail up to an acceptable standard. The EOTA has agreed to participate in the project, and it will be contributing some $200,000 to that section of the trail this year. We're asking council to approve both our letter of understanding with the EOTA and secondly, approve the concept of the 5-year project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wayne. And I have to say, with all that work, Wayne did the bulk of it. I was kind of in the background. I'm going to read the motion as a result of that discussion, and then we can discuss any details that you wish. This is moved by Bill and seconded by Sherry. That council accept the presentation from Wayne Robinson on behalf of the ad hoc committee regarding trails for information. Whereas the Township of Central Frontenac is party to an agreement with the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance for the management, maintenance, improvement, administration, promotion, and preservation of the portion of the trail owned by the township. And whereas the portion of the trail is in disrepair and in need of considerable work to bring it up to a reasonable standard for multi-purpose use. And whereas the EOTA committed $200,000 for 2021 for improvements to this portion of the trail, which will be combined with the township's contribution of $10,000, along with private, individual, and organizations, particularly the Verona ATV Club, the Snow Road Snowmobile Club, who will contribute funds or volunteer labor. And whereas a working committee be established and that the committee's composition and terms of reference outline the project with its trail partners to facilitate leveraging grant funding opportunities and project management. And whereas the committee work with the EOTA on a cooperative and collaborative basis to assure success of the project. And whereas council appoint a member to the committee that will provide regular updates to council on the project, along with Cindy Cassidy, manager of EOTA, who has agreed to meet twice yearly to discuss projects and joint efforts on the improvement of the trail. And whereas the EOTA and the OFACT Verona Club have agreed to sign an agreement that provides for both organizations to use the Central Frontenac Trail and to both accept each other's trail permits and to work together to improve the regional trail system. And whereas the EOTA will be accountable and transparent back to the group on where the funding is going for improvements on the East-West Trail in Central Frontenac. And further, that council authorized the CAO to sign the memorandum of understanding on behalf of the township. And I just want to add, we're not saying that EOTA has not done a good job. We're saying that our $10,000 a year is not huge dollars to do what needs to be done on that trail. So we need some other partners with some bucks and some good backs. So that's what this would do. Okay, any questions or comments? Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank Wayne and the committee that actually brought this to some kind of, what should I say, action to be taken, because I know there was a lot of headbutting over this particular issue over the last few years where we didn't have parties actually working together. So I want to thank Wayne for his participation. And certainly, I want to thank the mayor also for taking this on. And I would like to make a recommendation that maybe Tom Dewey might be a good representative on that, seeing as he's already on the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance, and unless there's somebody else that wants to jump up and take that on. But thank you for allowing me to make my comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Tom, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's a few things in that statement that are not correct, and I want to correct them properly. There's no guarantee that EOTA is going to spend $200,000 on that trail this year. This past week, we just signed the documents to get for the grant money. We realized that that trail needs a lot of work. There was no mention of 200,000. We could be spending up to 200,000, but we're waiting for Greer Galloway to come back with a whole analysis of all the trail system in our area. More dollars will be going to this area this year, but it's not the 200,000 is including the 10,000 that we are already spending on that trail. And the 10,000 that we spent, that we've contributed over the years hasn't even cut it, because we've replaced culverts. We've had to do washouts. So the 10,000 doesn't cover it. We put gravel, but we are going to be doing a lot of work on the trail this year, that 30 kilometers. But there's been no guarantee that 200,000 is going in there. And the other thing I want to tell you about is that there's no this thing with the Verona Club. They're part of OFATV, and there's a liability issue here that we are trying to deal with. And the OFATV, we've already made a proposal to OFATV, and we are working with the Verona Club. But the Verona Club is a standalone agreement that they're going to have to make with EOTA to use that portion of the trail. And they have not come forward, or have we heard back from Soren at OFATV? So I don't agree with.
We're not dealing with Soren. We're dealing with the Verona Club. Wayne, maybe you could speak to the $200,000.
Yeah, and obviously there's some disagreement between what Tom's saying and what Cindy and as you know, Mayor, that we have gone back and asked very clearly on that, and she has confirmed that it is in management's intention that they will be spending $200,000 on this section this year. But I'm only a fly on this, on this. So I'm telling you, there's not a misunderstanding with me on that. But the additional thing is that it is hoped that this agreement with the Verona Club is only a temporary measure. That in fact we are signing that, and I think Cindy and I have spent hours talking this thing through, that it works to sign effectively a temporary agreement, and hopefully that they're going to be able to strike a deal with the full provincial body, the OFATV. But it does take it off the head bunting right now that we will, the EOTA in this agreement has agreed to sign both, at least a temporary agreement with the Verona Club to get it off. And then hopefully Cindy can strike a deal with Soren and the OFATV. But we're going to be able to get on with the project. With this.
Yes. Tom.
The problem, Wayne, is that through you, your worship, to Wayne, the problem is that it's a liability issue with the Verona Club. We have not seen, and I'm speaking here on behalf of EOTA, we have not seen them come forward with any insurance, or I know OFATV has insurance coverage, but there's been no discussion with them as to what their insurance is and how we're going to cover this liability. And
no, Tom, that's not the case. That has been talked about lots, and we're assured quite clearly that they have $15 million worth of insurance.
I'm assured by who?
By the Verona Club.
Well, they'll have to come to EOTA. Will, as far as EOTA is concerned, we'll have to make we proposed the same agreement we did with Hastings County.
And that's correct.
That was for the local.
And that's the agreement that we have used and that everybody's agreed to. So I think we've covered all those bases. That insurance policy will be filed with us and with EOTA.
Well, they have to deal with, and I don't know when Wayne talked to Cindy last, but
I'm sorry, Tom. We have a bit of a conversation love affair going on, so we talk every day.
Okay,
yeah.
But but I don't think, Wayne, that you have to agree with this. And in the last conversation I had, which was this week with Cindy, that there was, the agreement. We hope to be able to spend 200,000, but it's not carved in stone here.
I guess very few things are carved in stone, but
yeah, I don't want to. I can't support this. We will. Once we get
supporting EOTA, and because of that, I don't believe that you should be the committee person on this committee. I think you need to support the EOTA. Yes, I don't think you should be. Anyhow, Wayne, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, as I said, obviously nothing's carved in stone, but I have to. Hopefully, I'm a clear negotiator, and I also can. Hopefully, I hear things clearly, and I don't think there's a question. And unless Cindy Cassidy is telling me something different than what the EOTA say, I have to go. That's my contact person. So that is what we're doing, and we have agreed that we will make post-haste effort now to get an agreement in place, and that we get on with our committee and get a committee working to raise some more money and work with the EOTA, and hopefully in the next 5 years bring that project up to or that portion of the trail up to a most reasonable standard. So
well, I think
what money flowing into those 30 kilometers.
What I think should happen here, and because I think I'm hearing mixed messages. I think what I'd like to see is this deferred to the next meeting, have Cindy Cassidy here as a delegate too, and have Wayne come back so that we can iron out some.
Cindy has already signed the agreement that was in your package. We have dealt with this now for what, Wayne, 3 months?
Yes.
If this doesn't work, then I think we need to give notice that as of the end of June, we will be out of the EOTA and we will deal with this on our own. I don't want to do that because Cindy does good work. We've worked out an agreement to work with them, to supply them with money, to follow their rules, their insurance. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe we don't need to play the game with EOTA.
Well, I think if you look at the motion that you've read, Your Worship, it isn't exactly what Cindy has sent to you and what's in our package.
Well, it's not what's in your package because it wasn't clear enough, but I can reread it if people would like to hear it again. Does anyone need to hear it again?
Because that memorandum of understanding is very clear, as to the agreement that we had. But that what you said in that motion is not clear, is not consistent with that memorandum of understanding.
Madam Mayor?
Okay.
Some of that information that has come out of the ad hoc committee's report.
Which was in the package as well.
Correct, it is.
We've spent a lot of time on this and a lot of time back and forth with Cindy to get it acceptable to EOTA, to get acceptable to Verona Trail people, and to try and bring in more funds to improve our section of the trail. EOTA has done what they can with the funds they've had, but now they got a big grant, and that grant, if it doesn't get spent, some of it, or the 200,000 in our area, as Cindy's budget shows, it's going to go to Hastings, Bancroft.
No.
And that, so if it's not going to go, we might as well just get out of the whole organization. Anyhow, I'm going to call the vote. And if anybody wants to hear it again, I can reread it. Nikki? You're on mute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a different question. In the motion, it says that we're asking our giving permission or providing our CAO the thought to sign the agreement, but the agreement in the package has Mr. Robinson's name on it. Who will be signing the agreement on behalf of the township?
It will be Kathy. That was just our letter of understanding to get sort of what we've agreed to.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion's carried. Okay, we will make this work to the benefit of EOTA, the ATVs, the walkers, the bikers, the hikers, and everyone else that uses the trail. We have to make it better, and that takes money. So let's see if we can raise the money. All right. Next, we have, thank you, Wayne. And thank you for all your hard work. All right, we're down to correspondence. I have a motion moved by Nikki and seconded by Tom. The council received the following correspondence for information, and it's 1 to 9. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Oh, Bill, did you have a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, as I did at the county, number 9 is Township's capital gains tax on primary residence. I'm wondering if it would behoove us to actually support that motion and bring forth a motion at the next meeting in which we would support, because I'm highly concerned about capital gains on primary residence affecting a tremendous number of people who will be using the sale of their primary residence as possible retirement funding. So I'm concerned that the federal government is looking in this direction for extra funding. So perhaps we could bring forth a motion to support that at the next meeting. Thank you.
We can just pull that out, Kathy, number 9.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, next we have road closure, moved by Brent and seconded by Bill, that council receive input from the public meeting and the accompanying report prepared by the deputy clerk, and further that council approve the recommendation to stop up, close, and convey to the owners of lot 26, concession 6, that portion of the road allowance north of Wegerville Road, subject to easements for access in favor of those who have indicated an interest in receiving them, provided said parties enter into a satisfactory cost-sharing agreement for the maintenance and repair of the private road. And that staff propose to engage a surveyor to survey the section of road allowance to be closed, as well as legal counsel to draft the easements and cost-sharing agreements and prepare documents to register on title to effect the closure and conveyance. Discussion?
Madam Mayor, We do have several members of the audience who are attending, so I suspect there'll be some people who do want to speak. So I just wanted to let you know that, and we'll do council questions first if you want, and then we'll invite the public to comment.
Okay. Does anyone from council have a question? Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm concerned about the cost sharing portion in this motion. Who will be deciding what the required minimum standards are and how the breakdown of cost sharing would be for the people that are getting easement, the residents that will be getting easements on this, because they already pay taxes, so this would be an additional burden to them if it's a quite hefty bill for maintenance and upkeep on this road.
So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, I think the idea would be for our lawyers to facilitate the discussions between the property owners in terms of the needs of the various property owners. Some folks need this as an easement of convenience. Others need it as basically to rely on for their access. So I think it will depend a lot on what type of usage each party might bring to the table and require for this, and what kind of, as a result of that, what kind of roadway might need to be constructed. So I think our lawyers would work with the various parties to sort of flesh out the details of that, so that there's an equitable distribution of responsibility of costs for whatever needs to be done there to make it suitable for their needs.
And if they can't come to an agreement and we close this road, where does it leave us as a township on the hook?
So if they can't come to an agreement, then I believe we would have to come back to council and come up with a different option. I mean, if there's the opportunity or the requirement to put access through there for all of these parties, we frankly would need to do that by putting in a municipal roadway up to maintenance standards. This is what we've discussed before in terms of the costs of the permits and the issues with the wetlands and the bridge repair. So we would be looking at basically creating a new road and assuming it into our road network and our asset management.
And then it would have to be brought up to our standards too.
I guess my question would be is how do people access their properties now when it's all water? Do they do it just in the winter?
Perhaps some of the folks who are listening in can address that when they speak. I do believe in the winter would be much easier. I don't know if there's seasonal fluctuations of water. When staff were there in November, I believe it was, you would assume that water levels would be lower in November. So I'm not 100% sure. We can flesh that out with the folks. I know I did receive a very recent email came in during the meeting regarding some questions about drainage and some concerns about the damming. I think from the sounds of my conversations and my information that I've received is there's a lot of the issues in here have been created by our favorite beavers who have been damming up and sort of changing the nature of the wetlands in there. So that's sort of over the years has made things a little bit more challenging.
Okay. Does council have any other questions? Oh, Brent? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering, just based on the language and the inputs, how much negotiation has been going on to this point? How many have there been informal discussions amongst all the various parties to this point? Because I mean, we're suggesting an approach, and I'm assuming that that's informed by a lot of the input. So I'm just wondering how much of a conversation have we been having with the interested parties with regard to what we're proposing?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron. Basically, when we sent out the notices about the road closure to the various impacted parties, received some comments and concerns from folks. So what I suggested to them is that they submit their concerns and questions to us, and we'll bring it to the public meeting. And that if there was, that depending on the number of folks impacted, that the recommendation would be that we discuss easement. So we haven't got into specifics or details. It's been sort of a moving target and an evolving file. So we're basically at the point now where, seek direction from council, seek the public opinion, and then take it from there in terms of what next steps we need for the negotiation.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else from council, do we have any member of the public that would like to speak to this?
So I'd ask folks, okay, we do have some hands up, so I'll enable you folks in a moment. But before we do, I do want to just note, because I don't see him, there was a gentleman who called, who didn't have access to the internet, but was going to try to call in, and I don't see his phone number. So just to verbally let you know his comments, I spoke with him last week. It's Mr. Good, and he's representing the owners of the large acreage. It used to be the Good Estate that has the frontage on Long Lake. So he did express the concern about access and talked a lot about the drainage issues and the flooding issues and whatnot. So I think on behalf of the owners of that property, he would be certainly interested in receiving an easement to the back end of to their property as well. Oh, and I just got a note here that Vaughn Good is on with Rob Barker. So okay, so we might be able to hear from him after all. So I will allow, let's see, we've got Dave Travers on. So I'm going to allow him to speak. So David, I've moved you over. If you can just unmute and see if we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yep, I have. Can you hear me?
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, thanks for having me on. Just a quick history. So it's our.
Oh, shoot. We've lost him. I will email him and ask him to rejoin. So in the meantime, I'm going to allow, okay.
Oh, there's Rob Barker.
Oh, okay. So Dave's back.
Dave's back.
So sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, you can hear me all right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the quick background of this, we own the property, the 100 acres that is landlocked by the loss of the road. We purchased in 2003 through a real estate agent and a lawyer. Everything was done above board. It wasn't just a handshake deal. And to answer the question about access, it was a 3-season township maintained road when we bought it in 2003, and from 2003 to about 2017, we could get in pretty much any time during the 3 seasons. There was flooding in the spring. In the winter, obviously, it was not plowed, and we understood that. But then around 2017, the maintenance kind of slowed down, and as far as the discussions with the township, we had ongoing discussions with Brad Thake, I believe it was David Armstrong, and now the new road manager, Tyson. So, this is not a new issue. This has been going on for some time. And I just wanted to make sure that's clear, that everybody understands the background to this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Rob.
How are you guys tonight?
Good, thanks.
Good. We can hear you.
That's good.
Go ahead.
So as far as driving across that property in the springtime, it is flooded, but there's about sometimes between 6-8 inches of water. So if you're driving a truck back in the country, it's not a problem. You'd usually drive through there. But we purchased the property with the access of that road. So we would still like to have that access at any point in time. Also without having to pay any additional cost of upkeep. I know myself, I've been brushing that road for the last, probably 6 years, I would say. Give it a nice cleanup so we could drive our trucks back there and cross the bridges. Now the bridges are getting shaky, but sometimes you got to put a little blood and sweat into it to make the bridges accessible so you can cross into your property that you need access to.
Right.
I'm also here with Adam and Jesse Peters, as well as Vaughn Good. So you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
There is a few questions. It's Vaughn Good speaking right now.
Okay.
There are a few questions that I have, a few concerns. I'm understanding that this is already a done deal and you guys are just doing this right now to keep us quiet. And that's not good. I just received the letter last Friday. So as far as getting counsel, I'm up for getting counsel because I'm not putting up with it. There's a thing there from the corner of the second bridge back to the Alton Gate. Who's going to take ownership of that? And another thing that I'm concerned about, and there's other things that I'm concerned about, but I will limit myself. Why isn't the waterways opened up? Why aren't those dams been removed? That is a council problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Smith, we also have Philip Smith with his hand up, so I'm going to move him over as well.
Okay.
So can you unmute you? There we go. Go ahead, Philip.
Council, good evening, Madam Mayor. I'm here tonight on behalf of my mother, Jean Smith, who owns 1710 Wegerville Road. I guess, maybe our history might go, possibly as long as not as long as the goods, but, well in excess of 50 years there. And, the town road maintained on and off again. Mostly, replacing some planks on the bridge, some gravel here and there, and mowing along the road. Nobody expected you to turn it into a highway or anything, but, the access wouldn't be taken away. And you all probably received my email and it's in the package, but when the bylaw was passed last year, there was no consultation with landowners at that time. It was just done. And, we received a letter saying, here you go. We've now removed access to the road. So, as Vaughn had indicated tonight now, it almost feels like this is a done deal as well, that, there's no real opportunity for input. And thank you, Nikki, for, bringing up the cost situation, because it's an access that's been enjoyed by everybody already. And, that was one concern that we had when you mentioned maintenance costs and ongoing costs. Well, if the owner of the road decides that they want to turn it into the Wegerville Road, how is that feasible for 5 other lot owners that are using it for occasional access to the backs of their property, to build a road to that magnitude?
Okay. Anyone else? So it sounds like maybe the public meeting that we had wasn't well attended by the folks that were affected by this.
Mayor Smith, can I clarify on that just for a moment? Because the bylaw that was passed initially was, there was no public meeting associated with it. It was a bylaw done on an emergency basis due to the engineering reports that we had that the bridge was in a state of repair or disrepair, and that we should take immediate action to restrict access. So that original bylaw, unfortunately, we did take it to council on an emergency basis. It's a section 35 bylaw, which restricts common law access. It doesn't officially close it. The notices that went out in relation to that bylaw indicated to the property owners that we were taking this action on an emergency basis, and that we were seeking alternatives and options for sort of alternative access arrangements. Unfortunately, other than from the travelers themselves, we did not hear from anyone in terms of anyone requiring or wishing to retain this access. So having the public meeting now is good, because we're hearing from these folks and understanding what the requirements are. But at the time, we did not hear from any of those other folks to realize that there was a problem. Also, just to clarify as well, there's that, I think it was Philip I'm not sure who it was who mentioned the second bridge. There is a second bridge that is located on the Travers property. It is not within our municipal OSIMS report, so it was not flagged in terms of a municipal asset. So I don't think that there's any, we haven't addressed the second bridge in this format at all, because that is within the private property of the Travers.
That's new planks.
If I may, Madam Mayor, that bridge was formerly maintained by the township as well. So it's not that it's been a private road. It was maintained by the township.
Okay.
So I think the one issue that we may have to then address is, I mean, we've been dealing with this section of road that's been located on the road allowance only. The costs that we have been reviewing with the Conservation Authority and with Public Works Department have been related to what would it cost to upgrade the road within our own road allowance. If there's going to be sort of a push to recognize the road over the private property as well as the road allowance, then we'll have to basically redo our cost estimates. There's a great deal of roadway in that private property.
So I guess the question, Philip, is you think it's township bridge and we think it's private bridge. So somewhere we have to decide about that second bridge, right?
Well, until Central Frontenac quit maintaining the road, it was always both bridges were looked after and boards replaced by, what was formerly Hinchinbrook Township.
Yeah, we didn't always do things the right way back when.
Well.
So, and to clarify as well, the property, the Travers property is zone limited services residential. And that presumably was done on the basis that at the time that the zoning was put in place, that there was no acknowledgement on the township that was a current road. I think it has in recent planning documents been treated as a heritage road under official plan, in which basically the heritage road does not necessarily require the municipality to continue to maintain it. So I think we're kind of in a difficult situation where there was some disconnect between what folks traditionally thought that road was and what the township has moved forward with in terms of whether it was a current road within our asset management or whether it was a heritage road that had been maintained but had over the years not been due to the condition of the waterways and whatnot.
So with asset management plans, it now shows that there's a bridge and then the bridge has to be rebuilt to a specification, which is thousands and thousands of dollars for one, let alone two, on a heritage road that's used by 5 or 6 people, which is why the municipality has to look at these particular situations. I don't know if there's any answer to keeping it open for access without closing it. Is there a minimum maintenance that could happen?
Well, I think even regardless of whether if we recognize it as a road, then yes, I think there definitely would be minimum maintenance standards, and we'd have to talk to Tyson in terms of what those are. I think the first thing we would have to do, though, even if we keep it open and not treat it as a road necessarily, I do think liability-wise, because that bridge is located on the road allowance, that we would be in a very delicate situation having a road allowance that's traveled by the public with infrastructure of the municipality that has failed in such a way that it has.
So it's posted right now, that the bridge is unsafe?
I believe so. I'd have to check with Public Works on that.
Okay. Rob, did you want to say something?
Yes, it's Vaughn Good talking again. Yes,
okay.
There are 2 bridges and they are both posted. Yes, they are. And I do have in my possession, not right now, unfortunately, that they quit snow plowing back in 1947. The township sent my grandfather a note or a letter saying that they're no longer going to be snow plowing the road back to the Alton place. So Yes, that was a maintained road, and it's just not something that's just popped up. So back in 1947, they were trying to deal with this. You guys aren't the only ones, and there are 2 bridges on that road, not just one.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I've moved,
Okay.
I've moved Brett Hilder over as well. He has indicated he would like to speak as well. Can you go ahead? Brett?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to echo the sentiment of all the landowners in the back that I believe that we have to work out some proposal that'll work for us if in fact that the town requests us to own that road, and that give us some time and some consideration for drafting some sort of agreement if this is the path that's going to be taken. But I really want to stress that drainage is the main source of the problem with the road, and that drainage needs to be affected on the Fish Creek watershed between Wagersville Road and Highway 38. I took pictures of it. It's about 3 feet higher than it really should be, and that's why the bridge is underwater and rotting. This is just a missed opportunity to keep this road working. And if we could at least keep the waterways clear, then it would be less cost for us to maintain that road. And that but clearing the waterway is absolutely necessary to keep this issue from getting to be really a really sticky mess.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, through Madam Mayor, I've been interested in sitting here and listening to the various comments made by the participants in today's meetings. And I'm just wondering if it would be in our best interest to let the groups go away and work with their solicitors and see if they can come up with an agreement that would satisfy everybody's needs. Because what my concern is that if we turn this into a public domain, then the next issue that's going to be coming to the table is the number of people that are actually using that road and trespassing onto the properties that we're talking about. I don't know whether we can table this motion at this point, but perhaps we could give the parties some time in which they might be able to work out an agreement that would work for everybody. Keeping in mind that whatever agreement that they come up with is going to be attached to the properties, so that it's not going to be an agreement that just they will have to live up to, but whatever future owners of those properties, if they change hands, will have to deal with in the future. So my thought was, let's see what the parties can work out and bring it back to council and see if we can work with them. Those are my comments, Madam Mayor.
So you're suggesting we defer this, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. I think now that everyone is aware of the situation and we're actually talking about it, probably we can come up with some resolution when we put our heads together. So I need a mover. No, I need to call the vote. And if you wish to defer it,
just check off the deferred. Yeah, you just check off the deferred part of the resolution, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, can I make a suggestion? I'm wondering if we're going to go that route, if we can still proceed with some authorization for us to engage our legal counsel, because I think that they could sort of spearhead the original agreement. And I think that that is something that we should be responsible to do, and then to sort of corral the others and deal with it. I just think if we had our lawyers involved in terms of helping that process, it might make things a bit easier.
I agree with that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd also like to see someone help facilitate this so we can all come up with something that the parties can agree on.
Right. Okay, so I am going to call the motion for deferral. All those in favor? Motion's carried. So it is deferred, and we haven't put a date to bring it back, but I would say probably by the fall, by September. Cindy, is that a good time, do you think? That we'll take another look at it then?
Well, I guess just to clarify, so if we're deferring completely, do we have the authority to engage legal counsel?
Engage. What we'll do, Madam Mayor, what we will do, what I suggest is, because we deferred this one, that we do another resolution just to say that council will receive the input from the public meeting, because this is a public meeting, that you just, and the report by the deputy clerk, and that we engage our legal counsel.
Bill will move that.
I'll move that motion, yes.
And Tom
I'll
will
second it, Madam Mayor.
Brent
Okay.
and Tom, or Brent and Bill?
Yep.
Perfect.
All those in favor? Okay, so that allows some work to be done on, carried. Good. They're never easy, and thank you everyone for coming and presenting your ideas and giving us some history. It always helps.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have bylaws. I have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Tom that bylaw 2021-41, being a bylaw to adopt the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, June 2021, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 22nd day of June 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. So, is there any notice of motions?
None.
Is there any giving of notice of motions?
No.
Any new or other business?
No.
Okay, closed session. I have a motion. And it is moved by Cindy and seconded by Bill that council move into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss matters regarding personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees pursuant to section 239(2)(b)(fire). All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Oh, Madam Mayor, we just stay on the line, right?
Correct.
Yes, you do.
Correct. Just stay on the
Yes, you
line
do.
and I will stop the live stream. I will also ask that anyone who is attending the meeting, if they could please close out. And thank you for your participation, and we'll just take a break for a second while I get things queued up here.